About a normal week, I thought we had a good Monday, good Tuesday, good Wednesday in terms of just our normal routine. We'll see on Saturday, how week 1 to week 2 really translates. Obviously, we got an excellent opponent this week, but guys are working hard like they've kind of done. So it's been good to see that they really haven't changed kind of their approach.
What stood out to you on film about last Saturday from you guys?
About last Saturday?
Yeah.
Man, I loved how we came out in the first half and we were excited to play as a team. I think defensively we set the tone. We were flying around. I don't think they converted a third down in the first half, so we were getting off the field, did a really good job in our special teams with some punts and kickoffs and how we covered and creating field position. And then I thought, the offense settled in and made some explosive plays, including the drive right before half to get a touchdown. So, really complete first half when you go in up 31-0 against a good opponent. Now, we got to come out of halftime better in the third quarter. But, overall, really pleased anytime you can win week 1 and do it in a way that, you take a little bit of the maybe the pressure off yourself in the second half. That's good.
Probably no way to know for sure, but just looking at it, did you get a feel that maybe some of the slowness in the second half was just due to the nature of the game versus any execution type stuff?
There's got to be some human element to it, right? You go in up 31-0, it's natural for anyone to relax. But, we talked about it coming out of the second half that we wanted to start fast. And really our defense, they made a really nice play on the throw and catch. We're hitting him as he throws it. The ball doesn't have a lot on it, but it just happens to be in the perfect spot. Catch it in stride. McGill overruns it, and they score. Hey, you got to tip your hat to them. Then offensively, we come out and we're moving it, and then we have Curley for a deep one. Catch it, going to tackle about, around 10-15. Ball comes out when he hits the ground. We end up punting. If we make that play, which is a fairly routine throw and catch for us, who knows? Is it now 38-7 or at least 34? I don't know. I don't know how it would have gone. And then the next drive, we drive down in the red zone, miss a short field goal. So, there was just some things offensively that we didn't finish 2 or 3 drives, either because we settled for field goals and missed it or whatnot. So it wasn't like we were going 3 and out and turning the ball over and sloppy. We didn't quite have the execution and intensity we need to, and it showed.
What has Oklahoma been looking like on film for you guys, and what are you hoping to do against them?
Well, they look like Oklahoma. They look like a team that could compete to win the Big 12 and compete to be in the college football playoff. Brent Venables has been there for a long time. Was at Clemson forever. We've gone against each other. I got a lot of respect for him. He's a good friend. Does a great job. Does it the right way in terms of how he coaches and leads. And you can tell they, like us, they went out. They were aggressive in the recruiting trail, aggressive in the portal. On offense, they play extremely fast. There's a lot of similarities to style of play. They play fast. Their offensive line's huge. They can run it. They can really throw it. Because they can run it, it puts a lot of pressure on you on the outside because you're in a lot of one-on-ones, favorable situations to throw the football. Dylan Gabriel's a stud. I knew him when he was at UCF. I think he's a winner. He can really throw the deep ball. He can run. He can scramble. So offensively, there's a reason they scored 73 and only punted once against a team who typically competes in the Sun Belt. So on defense, it's what Brent does, and then Ted Roof, who's the DC. I've worked with him before, and Brandon Hall, the safeties coach. Those guys are really good. They take away what you do best. They're very, very multiple. They're very aggressive. They did a nice job. They didn't play a lot of plays last week because they stopped the run. They got them into third downs, and they got off the field. So, and then you couple that into a pretty hostile environment. So it's an elite challenge for us, and I think our guys are excited for it.
What does a game like this mean, to get them on the schedule, to have this opportunity for these guys to go to Norman, play a team like that, play in an environment like that?
Yeah, it's why you play college football, and obviously with the future for us, it's going to become much more the norm, which is what we want. But we're going up there, and it's a great opportunity to play at one of the historic programs in the country. They come back here in 27, I think, to Dallas. So regionally, it makes a lot of sense. It's just a great opportunity for us in week 2 to try to improve and then see kind of where we stand 2 games into the season against, arguably someone who, based off what I saw on film, could be competing to be in the top 4 in the playoff this year.
You mentioned the schedule. Obviously, you'll see that in conference, but is this the type of non-conference game you'd also like to see as a regular kind of thing?
Yeah, once you play 8 or 9 ACC games a year, you may only play 1 non-conference game like this, as opposed to this year. We're playing Oklahoma, we're playing TCU. But yeah, I think most schools around the country that are in the top 3 or 4 conferences, you know what it is week in, week out, but you still usually schedule 1 non-conference game that get your players excited, get your fans excited. So, there's a lot for us to look at in the future of how we're going to do things, but I know who we play this Saturday, and we're excited for it.
Coach, when you look at the Sooners, what's the biggest challenge? The overall speed?
Yeah, I think it depends. I think from a defensive standpoint, it's going to be just getting our cleats in the ground and getting lined up, because very similar to what we like to do, they like to play super fast. And I mean, snapping the ball with between 30 and 34 seconds left on the play clock fast, and so when you get that momentum rolling, as we like to do now you're running the ball at a better clip, all of a sudden guys don't tackle in space as well, you get cheap deep shots. So I think that on defense, fortunately we see it all the time, but it's still game speed. We have to get our cleats in the ground and be able to play football. If we can get set before the ball snap, then we'll have a chance. On offense, we got to protect our quarterback. We got to be balanced like we always want to be, but we got to protect our quarterback. They present even when they're not pressuring, a pretty good pass rush. They got elaborate pressure schemes, multiple looks, and we got him hit too much last week. So I think that's two things. And then on kicking game, they play a lot of their starters on special teams just like we do. They're pretty sound. So it'll be interesting to see who can win the battle there.
You talked about the environment a second ago, and I've heard you guys playing the Boomer Sooner over and over again. How important is mindset when it comes to your first true red test of the season?
That's really important. I look at last year, we went to Maryland, and I thought we played really well. We handled the atmosphere well. We've been in those atmospheres before. A lot of the guys have played in those type of atmospheres before, but still, we haven't been to Oklahoma. I've been there once before. I know what kind of an atmosphere it is. But if you're a competitor, man, I love that. I like going on the road more than I like playing at home atmosphere-wise, because I love it when, you can go in there and everybody's against you. And it's like, that's what the competitor in you should want. And so you do have to have that mindset. If you look at it any other way, it'll probably make you fold.
Is there a benefit then? Like you said, you've got a lot of transfers in that have played in these types of games. You've got guys here that have played at TCU before. How much does that help?
I think it'll help. I think from an environment standpoint, maybe the moment not being too big. Look, if you've ever played, once you get out there and start playing, for the most part, all that kind of gets blocked out. With the exception of maybe noise on offense, if we're trying to, we can't go out there and false start all the time, or we got to be able to communicate. But when you're focused in the game, a lot of that stuff kind of blocks out. At least you hope it does. But obviously, if things get going positively in their favor, the momentum can overwhelm you too. So hopefully our guys have experienced that enough to be able to kind of just keep their poise when things really start going well for them.
Besides the interception, what are some other good things that you saw from the defensive line last week?
From the defensive line, as a unit, we had 7 sacks, 11 TFLs. I think 4 of those sacks were from the D-line. But even when they didn't get sacks, they were really affecting the quarterback. They were pushing he was a shorter quarterback, so they were getting pressure in his face, hitting him a lot. I thought they just really did a good job of affecting him without us having to pressure a lot, which obviously lets you play more coverage. So I thought, and then 1.2 yards a carry, stopping the run, even when D linemen aren't making plays, I thought they kept the line off our linebackers a lot, by eating up blocks up front and allowed those guys to go make plays.
What's the hope for Preston this week to build off of last week? I know you said that you maybe played a little conservatively based off how you guys were calling plays. What's the big challenge for him this week?
You just got to keep being him. I don't think he played conservatively. He was aggressive, throwing it down the field, making plays. I just said, when we got up 17-0, the way that game was going, I'm like, man, our defense is playing well. I felt a few drives in we were going to be able to do well. And so as long as, offensively, it sounds weird. If you get to 31, I felt like the game was probably over. And you don't ever know that, but just the flow of the game. And so there was probably some times I ran it more when we could have taken a one-on-one or that kind of deal. But I think he came away. He played well. He was efficient, took care of the ball, made the throws, gave guys chances. You just got to continue to do those same things this week.
Just kind of health report. I know Sparks wasn't dressed, but it looks like he's back. It looked like maybe Logan was in a red jersey.
Yeah, so Logan played last week. We don't have any reason to believe he won't be good. Sparks did not go last week. He should be available this week. Cam Irvin's probably, negatively questionable. There's a chance by game time he may be a week away, but he's getting a lot better. I'm trying to think who else. We came out of game 1 pretty good in terms of the banged up parts.
And then
Kamar's reinstated. He's available if we need him.
That it, guys?
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so
Appreciate
much,
it.
Thank
Coach.
you.